And now, live from Level 5 Productions on the island of Milleronia, it's The Larry Miller Show. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and everyone who loves lamb chops with a big candle in them. Hi, folks, and welcome back to the Larry Miller Show. I'm Larry Miller, but in a way, aren't we all? And boy, oh boy, is it beautiful here today. On Milleronia, we're back. There's still nothing better than a place, well, that you built, that you made, that you designed, that you own. Come on. And, yes, I understand, I do make the staff here wear those, those uniforms of the one-piece clothing with a zipper up the front and my picture on the breastplate. I know that seems eccentric to some, but it's not to me. Boy, Milleronia is a great place to be, though. And, frankly, that music, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The music makes me happy. And Colonel Jeff, too. That's the Jackson Hunt Orchestra and the Marjorie Main Dancers, featuring boy tenor Don Riley, asking the musical question, how much tickling does it take before you turn pink? Wow, good question, Don. First of all, too much. It takes too much tickling before you turn pink. First, I don't like being tickled. Okay, I've said it. I mean, I've never liked it as a kid. I don't know how many of you like it. I don't know if it's the kind of thing you can like. If someone kind of, it's always a guy, I would think, isn't it? By the way, and because he thinks he's funny. It's not to me, and he tickles you, and I don't like being pink. I don't like turning pink. How do we turn pink? Do we? I mean, is it because you're tickled, you're laughing? I love to laugh. Don't you? I mean, do you turn pink? Boy, oh boy. Good question, Don. Makes you think when you're pink. But boy, oh boy, how much tickling does it take before you turn pink? Way too much. And by PayPal. That's right, PayPal. Terrific group, a great company. And they they make you feel like you're saving the world, and who knows, maybe you are. We love working with PayPal because, well, see, that's how you can help us here on the show. If that's what you want to do, if you really like my show, and why wouldn't you? And you want to help us out and help us to buy more things for the show. And why wouldn't you? So what you do is you go to, you can do this on your own if you want, but you can go to, to get to PayPal, you can use your computer or your iPhone or anything, but let us do it for you. Go to our website, which is LarryMillerPodcast.com. Who's on the mountain? Tom Mix. Steerike! I like that guy. And I'm not sure. I used to think he was just out of his mind. But I don't think so anymore. Maybe a little bit, but that's not the main thing. He's not in an asylum in a padded room with a straitjacket on, just screaming as if he were an umpire. Is he? Colonel said maybe he is. You know what? Maybe he is. So what? You're not, folks, and neither am I. So I do that, though. Go to our website. We have a banner that says PayPal. Click the banner, and we'll take you to PayPal. So go to PayPal. And by the way, instead of saying, and donate this and chip in that, I always like to just say, buy us a drink. That's right. For me and Colonel Jeff, just buy us a drink. And I think that's a good way to do it. And I hope you do too. Thanks, PayPal, and thanks, folks. And that brings me to my favorite part of the show, the joke of the week. Boy, I love that, the bongo drum too. It's hard. It's easy to be happy here on Milleronia. I'm not walking anyone up to one of the volcanoes after the show. I could, but I'm not going to. It's just a happy time. Steerike! I hope it's a happy time for that fella too, by the way. And this is a good joke. Colonel Jeff and I both liked it. This is one of the Ali and Lena jokes. So Ali and Lena just got married, and they're heading out to their honeymoon. And isn't that nice? Well, of course it is. And, they're in the car, and they're going to drive there. And they have a traditional background in Scandinavian family and ancestry, and they're up in Minnesota in the rural country. And so they haven't, gone all the way yet. And that's kind of sweet. So they're in the car there, and they're going to head to Minneapolis for their honeymoon from the rural place they are. And they're in the car, and they're heading there to Minneapolis. And, after 10 miles, 20 miles, 50 miles, Ali puts his hand onto Lena's knee. And she smiles and says to him, Ali, we're married now. You can go a little further. He thinks about it for a second and then drives to Duluth. So, by the way, I'm sure they straightened that out. And I know I did. And you know what? Thanks. That one was sent in by Brad Simpson. And we like him a lot anyway. He writes, he's written in many terrific boy tenor questions. And so thanks, folks. And thanks, Brad. And that brings me to my second favorite part of the show, the Poetry Corner. I love that string quartet there. This is a wonderful poem. This is written by the wonderful Robert William Service. I've read many of his things before. And Mr. Service wrote, among others, The Shooting of Dan McGrew and The Cremation of Sam McGee. He was known as the Bard of the Yukon, and here's why. Here's a poem of his called Pilgrims. For, when the war will be over, we'll go and we'll look for our dead. We'll go when the bees on the clover and the plume of the poppy is red. We'll go when the year's at its gayest, when meadows are laughing with flowers. And there, where the crosses are grayest, we'll seek for the cross that is ours. For they cry to us, friends, we are lonely, a-weary the night and the day, but come in the blossom time only, come when our graves will be gay, when daffodils all are a-blowing, and larks are a-thrilling the skies. Oh, come with the hearts of you glowing, and the joy of the spring in your eyes. But never, oh, never come sighing, for ours was the splendid release, and oh, but 'twas joy in the dying to know we were winning you peace. So come when the valleys are sheening and fledged with the promise of grain, and here where our graves will be greening, just smile and be happy again. And so, when the war will be over, we'll seek for the wonderful one, and maiden will look for her lover, and mother will look for her son, and there will be end to our grieving, and gladness will gleam over loss, as, glory beyond all believing, we point to a name on a cross. Isn't that lovely? As again, good work for Robert William Service, the Bard of the Yukon. Yes, we don't do that. Not nearly as much as we should. We don't go. As you know, I've mentioned this before, and Colonel Jeff knows it. There's a national cemetery. Well, there are many, but there's one in Los Angeles. And I go there, I visit there, every Memorial Day, and go to different sections, and stand there and smile and thank the folks who died in service. And I do that also on July 4th and on Armistice Day, which we call Veterans Day now. And there's a good reason, but I still call it Armistice Day because that's how it was to end World War I, the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th month, Armistice Day. At any rate, folks, good work, Robert Williams Service. And let's all visit, men and women too, who died in service, and say thank you. Well, you know what, folks? That brings me to my third favorite part of the show. Magic Movie Moment. This is a terrific movie, and it's why I mentioned the great Marjorie Main in the beginning of the show. How wonderful she was. Good Lord, she could be funny and dramatic, and just was wonderful in everything she did. She was born in 1890. You'd know her in a second when you see her face. She had that great voice of, "Say, what do you mean by that?" And she was just terrific. And I saw her twice on Wagon Train reruns in the last week and a half, and I remembered again thinking, gee, I think she's terrific. And it made me look at, I know several things she's in, and it's a movie I picked for today, Friendly Persuasion, from 1956, a great movie, directed by the wonderful William Wyler, starring, what a cast this is, Gary Cooper, Dorothy McGuire, Anthony Perkins, Robert Middleton, and by the way, they have another 20 folks in there who are just great. And one of them is Marjorie Main. This is set in 1862 in the middle of the Civil War. And, Gary Cooper and his wife, Dorothy McGuire, they have a farm and they have a ranch. And they have a great relationship. Watch their relationship. It's really how married couples should be. They love each other, but they also keep secrets from each other. Don't tell your mother about this. And just wonderful together. And at one point in the movie, before the Civil War comes to their area, which is, the big part of the movie, the big part of the story, because they're a Quaker family, and they don't believe in fighting. But the Confederates are heading their way, and they're going to have to believe in it now. Or will they? It's a great movie. And before that happens, Gary Cooper and his son, his oldest son, Anthony Perkins, who plays Josh, and the two of them go off to get a horse. Well, they're going to go off to do some trading of their own with cattle, and then they need a horse. They don't have the one they want, and Gary Cooper has been always, he kind of has a contest going with his neighbor, Robert Middleton, who always beats him. They're always on their way to church on Sunday, and they have, in the little carriage, and Robert Middleton plays a great guy. He's always smiling and laughing because he loves beating Gary Cooper. And Gary Cooper tries to hide this competition from his wife. She didn't like it at all. And she's right, but he's right too. And so they go to a little ranch, a horse ranch with a cabin, and it's owned and run by Marjorie Main, who plays the widow Hudspeth. And they go there to get a good horse from her. Doesn't have to look fancy, didn't have to be that young. No, it's got to be tough and ready to run. And she also has 3 daughters, and they're about 17, 18, and 19, the 3 of them, and they're beautiful. I don't mean like Vogue model beautiful, better than that. They're farm girls from 1862, And they're tough as nails. They're so pretty because they're all big shoulders and, big smiles. And they haven't seen, because of the war and because they're off in farm country, they haven't seen a man in 3 years. And now they're, as I said, they're in their middle and late teens. They're ready for Freddy, as they say. And they want to latch onto someone and get married. And that's period. I mean, they didn't, no two ways about it. They're not subtle. They want to get married. They sing a terrific song called Marry Me. And the three of them latch on to Anthony Perkins in the little cabin there. And it's not just falling down as a cabin. It's nice. It's not huge. It's not a mansion. But Marjorie Main sits down near the fireplace with Gary Cooper to talk business and see what's what. And these three, one of them pushes Anthony Perkins. The other one's sort of kneeling down on purpose behind him, and he falls over her, and he lands in a chair. That's what they wanted. And then they just surround him, and they're terrific with him because they're not kidding around. And the three of them looking right at him and saying, well, let's go. Pick one of us and let's get a going. And get a going means let's get hitched. Say now, in the next 40 minutes. And Marjorie Main, as great as ever. She's a terrific actress and was so funny. Also, what gifts she had. She sits down near the fireplace. As they're singing songs, we look over to Gary Cooper and her. And there's a portrait over the fireplace of a guy with a beard looking very stern. And Gary Cooper, because they were talking about her husband, and Gary Cooper just points to him with his thumb, and she nods sadly and wipes her eyes, wipes the tears away. And then Gary Cooper, understanding as he is, points up to heaven, all silently, by the way, points up to heaven. And Marjorie Main shakes her head swiftly and just points down. And Gary Cooper puts a face on, okay. But it's a great moment in a great scene, and they get a great horse, and then they're ready to beat Robert Middleton in the next race to the chapel. But, folks, it's terrific. That one moment is, in a way, it's worth the whole movie. It's terrific. And that's a magic movie moment for me. Friendly Persuasion from 1956. If you've never seen it, see it. It's terrific. It's on so many levels, in drama and in comedy and in family love. And if you've seen it, like me, a dozen times, I can't wait to see it again. Friendly Persuasion. Well, you'll be persuaded by it too. Well, folks, I had a birthday last week, and I was looking forward to telling you about it. Now, on the surface, by the way, with the birthdays, that sounds like, well, why do I need to hear about your birthday? Well, you don't. Except that I'd like to tell you, and there's a reason, that it was a great birthday. And in fact, I'm wearing my wife's gifts to me right now. And I've been looking for, well, new sweatpants, new T-shirts, a new sweatshirt, that kind of thing. And I don't know why I like cotton. I like 100% cotton. I want cotton. I'm sure I've mentioned that before. I just like cotton. I don't like blends with cotton and hectourethane, or whatever they put in it. And I went to many places, 5 different places. I went to Sears and Big Five and a couple of other, Sports Authority stores. And they don't have things that are cotton. I don't know why they don't. And I would go with, my oldest son, who was staying with us then. It was obviously in between school and work at night for him. And couldn't get it. And my wife bought me new gym stuff that I like to wear, and I'm wearing it now. And it's not just for the gym. It's kind of, fancier sweatpants, thin ones that don't look so much like sweatpants. I don't mind sweatpants, but, well, she does. I mean, she didn't want me just strolling out and, well, looking like a bum, and she got me 2 kinds of sweatpants, 2 pairs of sweatpants, one black and one gray, and a bunch of T-shirts, 7 T-shirts. And those are cotton. Those are all cotton. Well, that's pretty good. But the point is, I said, she was laughing. We did this before we went out to dinner on my birthday. And I thought that was such a nice gift. It was so sweet. She was laughing because she thought it was, well, time to push me into changing a little. Sound familiar, ladies? You know, trying to get that knucklehead husband of yours to change a little. And, well, I'm wearing them now. I'm wearing some white sweat socks, which I love, and my slightly worn out, I didn't want to say it too loud because they're listening, topsiders, and a pair of the gray, dark gray sweatpants that are light enough. And so I put on some boxer shorts underneath and the sweatpants, the lighter ones. I keep wanting to say the fancy ones. And a T-shirt. So you know what? After this, well, after we do our show, the Colonel and I are going to head out here on Milleronia and go someplace we just love, and I can't tell you what it is. Maybe that kind of tells you what it is right there. Well, I don't know why. No, it doesn't. But, you know, that's what we're going to do, and I'm not going to change. The Colonel's wearing nice things. He always looks good. He always wears nice. And I'm going to wear my birthday gift. And why the heck not? And it was a good birthday for this reason. It was a very, very good birthday for this reason. Because I had a lunch appointment, a lunch date with Kathy Ladman, who's just wonderful. I hope you know her as a comedian and as an actress. And heck, we've been friends since the day we met. And she has the same birthday I do. October 15th. That's her birthday, and it's mine. Well, that's terrific. And I saw her at one of the comedy clubs, a month or so ago, and I said, you know what? Let's get together for lunch on our birthday. And she said, that sounds good to me, and it is a good idea. And we had a 1:00 lunch appointment, and I was early. I was 2-3 minutes early. I walked in there, and not because I was lost and my wife had to get the directions. Okay, it was. That's what happened. But she was being so nice. She was so sweet. She didn't say, hey, silly, hey, stupid. Why don't you find out where it is? She found out on the phone things that I can't do. It just takes 4 seconds. You go, bop, bop, bop. You hit a few things. And she said, okay, here's where it is. And there's a Chinese restaurant back on the mainland, by the way, and called Chin Chin. And they're not a sponsor. I'm just saying, well, they have another one nearer to where we live. I've been there a few times. And I said, great. Thank you, honey. And she said, happy birthday. Have a good one. Say hi to Kathy. My wife, loves Kathy, and Kathy loves her. And I got there, and it was neat. When you do something like that, I've talked to you many times about meals that are just fantastic, and they're not very fancy. I like that about food. When it's just regular food in a regular place, and this was nicer than that. This joint, these Chin Chin places are pretty good. They have tablecloths and everything, and I know that sounds silly. Wow, is that fancy to you? Well, kinda, yeah. These aren't thin tablecloths, and they're not red and white checks. They're cloth. They're white, and they're over another white thing. And you got your flatware. That's the right word for it, isn't it? Forks and knives and spoons and things. And we sat down there, and I went crazy, meaning I ordered a Coke. And I know I'm not supposed to have Cokes. Cokes aren't, good for you, but sometimes when you really want to celebrate, wow, a Coke. To me, the celebration isn't that... Give me a Mets mug of whiskey. That's not a celebration to me. Although I used to be, but I know how you could think it is. But wow, a big, tall glass of Coke with a ton of ice. I love lots of ice. And you know what? I ordered one of those, and Kathy got, I think, an iced tea. We had the nicest meal there. And I knew, by the way, I was going out to dinner that night with my wife and our older boy, and the one who was staying with us. And he was off at that point. He didn't have to go to work that night. So we had an early dinner reservation for 5:30. And on the mainland there, in a place we always liked. And that's a fancy place. Not crazy fancy, but it's pretty nice. And they wanted to get a steak. And I said, why the heck not? And we went there. And here's the thing. When I was having lunch with Kathy, we were talking about this and that, and she was talking about something that touched her a lot, that she didn't feel was working out well, and it's something in this or that. And she was tearing up. And her eyes, more than tearing up, her eyes filled with tears, and they started to pour out and come down her face. And I reached into my back pocket, where I always have a clean hanky, because my mom, God bless her, used to say, a gentleman should always carry a clean hanky in case a lady needs one. And I was just a kid then. She told it to me a bunch of times, but I never forgot that, and I always do. And I mean clean. You know, it's just gone through the laundry, and it's folded nicely, and in your dresser drawer that has, well, socks and hankies. And so I took it out, and I said, yeah, in case the lady needs one. So far, I'm the only one who has, but that's all right. And I handed it to Kathy, and she said, no, thank you. And she dabbed her eyes, and we continued talking. She said about this and that, and she was holding. I said, hold on to it. You know, that's your hanky. Happy birthday for your birthday hanky. And she was talking, and I was listening, and I said, because I think I'm a good listener. I don't mean just on birthdays and just with someone I care about, but when someone wants to say something. And she did, and then after that, she handed me back her hanky, my hanky, of course, and I said, okay, if you want it again, just say so. You can take this with you. She said, no, thanks, that's good. And I was remembering something my mom used to do with dogs and doggies, and my mom wasn't the biggest fan of doggies, and that's some people are like that. She just wasn't crazy about them, you know. And if a dog would jump, you're in someone's house, and the dog would jump up on the little chair or bench chair that you're sitting on. That happened to my mom once, and she just looked at the dog, and the dog looked at her, and she said, you're barking up the wrong tree here. And the dog still plopped down on the seat next to her. And you know how life is funny anyway. So eventually, another minute later, my mom started petting the dog and kind of tap, 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 and rubbing the dog's head. But I was remembering this and that and a couple of things with dogs, and my eyes filled with tears. I was remembering, well, the affection I had and still do. And so I took the hanky, my hanky, that Kathy'd been using, and, well, I unfolded it and refolded it another way, and I used it to dab my eyes. And then we kept going, and then our food came and this and that, and I put the hanky away in my back pocket, and we finished a great lunch, and, you know, we walked out together down to the parking lot, and I said to her, as you would say to me, I said, listen, if you ever want, just call. If you want to talk something out, just call. Don't be shy. And I said, don't forget this. She said, great, that sounds wonderful. We hugged, and she went home and I went home. And then the thing is, well, that's a pretty great birthday lunch. And I guess I walked back in the house about 2:45 or 3. And our son had just gotten back from schooling, the aerodynamics he's studying. And he's there. So that was nice too. I washed up, took off my birthday lunch clothes, which were nicer than the ones I usually wear. And, well, I just washed up and still got boxer shorts and a white T-shirt on. And then this is a great birthday gift. I just laid myself down in the bed, and you got the remote in your hand. That's pretty good. I don't know how you are, but that's a pretty good birthday gift to yourself right there. I didn't even turn the set on. I could have, but you said, what the heck with it. And I just sat, I lay there and, you close your eyes. Wonderful. Great nap. 25 minutes. Terrific nap. Good birthday nap. And I can't recommend it highly enough. And at that point, remember I mentioned, I think, that we had a 5:30 dinner reservation at this nice place, Mistral. And we like it there. And I think there are a few of those too. But it's always nice. Well, we don't get there very often. It's not a cheap place. But why the heck not? And my wife and son wanted steaks. And so we got there. And my wife got a cocktail. Well, she's old enough. And our son got a cocktail because he's old enough too. And I just sat there smiling, and I just had a water with ice because I was loaded from lunch. No, I'm just kidding. But I just sat there, and we had a terrific dinner. They had good steaks, really good steaks, done just right, and French fries and veggies on the side, but they always cook them so nicely, really nicely, not just veggies from the can. There's nothing wrong with those. I like those too. I got some more just yesterday, in fact, but these are real veggies, zucchinis and carrots and squash and green something or other, green beans and little spinach there too, all mixed together. And I got lamb chops. I saw you don't see those words together a lot, lamb chops. And I said, are those good to the guys? And he said, they're very good. This, I don't mean the guy at the next table. I mean, this is our waiter. And I did, and he was right. They were very good. And you know what, folks, why were we called, by the way, before we went in? Our other son is in school in Colorado. Oh, we love him so much. And the brothers are very close. And we said hi, and he said hi. And we said the nice things, and he said the nice things. And you know what? As I said, I love simple meals with no big fuss, but sometimes a fancy place is just what you need. Well, sure, it's not cheap, but again, what the heck? You can't take it with you, can you? And yeah, so when we went waddling out of there, which was early, this was a 5:30 dinner, so we headed out about 6:40. That's not long. And, you're full. And the valet car guy was there smiling, and he charges, it's $6 for the car. And I always give him $2 tip. But again, why not? And then you get home, folks, and I'm telling you, just the shower and shave and the dress up and the meal and walking back out to the car, we were all walking back in the house at 7:15. Now, that's not, obviously, you're not going out to 7 places and getting home at 4 a.m, because who needs that? What's wrong with 7:15? I can do you take your clothes off and you wash up and brush your teeth and put on your pajamas, and both the doggies got a big steak bone, and they were happy about that. And folks, the whole operation got me into bed with the remote at 7:35. And what the heck is wrong with that? And as I took everything out of the pants, I had something in there that really worked. As I was getting dressed, after showering and after shaving to make this 5:30 dinner, I realized, I'm going to have to get a new hanky, which I have in my hanky sock drawer, and I just looked up at the top of the dresser there where the wallet is and my Bic pens, comedy pens, and change whatever you like and the phone and such. And I saw the hanky from lunch that Kathy and I both used, that we both sort of, cried into a tiny bit, and that I refolded and cried into a tiny bit more, and refolded, and I looked at that and smiled. I said, how do you like that? And then I did something, I don't know if you've ever done this. I looked at it, and it looked fine. I mean, it looked okay to me. Well, sure, I could have just taken a new one out of the drawer and put this one in the hamper, but I mean, look at that, it looks okay. I'm not trying to cut corners here, but I picked it up and felt okay. And it felt terrific. How often do you get to say that about a hanky? That it was terrific. Well, this one was, and soft and clean and not messed up, not marred in any way. And with a smile and a kind of a smile to Kathy, I just slipped it back in my pocket. And you know what, folks? That's as happy a birthday as I've ever needed. I hope you have one too for your next one. Because why the heck not? We know the same things. Homer is Homer and Pluto is a planet. So remember, folks, as always, if you walked out of bed today and had a job to go to and a home to come back to and someone there who cares about you, folks, the game's over and you've won. No matter where you have a nice dinner. Be well, and we'll see you here next time.